Hi, this is Betty Long, founder and CEO of Guardian Nurses Healthcare Advocates. Welcome to Season 7 of the Lighting Your Way podcast, a season in which I continue to talk with my Guardian Nurses colleagues and hear from them about their day-to-day support of our patients and clients. Their stories are heart-wrenching, uplifting, empowering, frightening, captivating, and true. Welcome to Season 7. Being a nurse advocate at Guardian Nurses means dealing with a variety of cases, both clinical in nature and insurance related. In this episode, I speak with my colleague, Joe McLaughlin, one of the newer members of our team, who shares with us two cases that have been the most memorable for him. Hello, Joe McLaughlin. Welcome to the Lighting Your Way podcast. My colleague at Guardian Nurses, welcome aboard and welcome to the podcast.
Oh, Betty, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Joe, you are one of our, I like to call you rookies because I use a lot of baseball analogies, and
I get it.
you are in your first 6 months at Guardian Nurses. So we wanted to get you on the podcast or early on in your tenure here, but how's it going so far?
It's been an amazing ride, Betty. I, had, like you said, just had my 6-month anniversary, early April, and I, with the team around me, it's very humbling, and I do feel like a rookie, and I'm learning so much, and but like I said, so couldn't be happier in this role.
Great.
and the support I get to give.
So you are part of our, even though you're a rookie at Guardian Nurses, you are not a rookie in nursing. You have, I think, 20 plus years in nursing. Is that true?
Yeah, it is hard to believe. 2002, really hard to believe.
That's great. That's great. I love it. We have such great tenure, such experience on our team. I think our average age, I'm sorry, not average age. I wish. Our average experience in years is 24, I think, for our team. So.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. Too bad it's not our average age. Because that would be nice. Anyway, you are on our advocacy team, which is was the bread and butter from which Guardian Nurses was born, and your role and in the advocacy team. So we get referrals from clients who either call us or email us with patients that need help in the healthcare system, and that's your one of the roles that you share on the team. Is that what you've been doing in the last 6 months?
It is, yes. Support, a number of different things, patient care, not direct patient care, but, a majority of the members that I support are, insurance related appeals, things like that. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your career before you got to Guardian Nurses. I know 20 plus years is a long time, but when you graduated, where did you go to nursing school?
I went to Montgomery County Community College for nursing. One of our alums, Charlotte Jeroma, was actually in my class. Just a little side note.
That's great.
Bit of information. Yes.
Must have been a good class. It was a good class.
It was a good class. Yes, I feel very lucky. And I will say, the first day I had met you on orientation, it was just such a breath of fresh air. I heard Charlotte's voice, and it was, just kind of felt like home. So yeah,
that's kind
of
great.
where yeah, it was very cool.
And then from nursing school, where did you end up getting your first job?
Then I went to Abington Memorial Hospital, which is now Abington Jefferson. And I was there for 14 years, but, a majority of my time was spent on the telemetry floor, but also specialized in, cardiac catheterizations and heart failure. So a lot of cardiac focused patient care. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think we hired you away from another another firm that was doing advocacy. So what was your role? Were you doing the same type of things there that you're doing here at Guardian Nurses?
I always joke with you, Betty, that, what I think that company was trying to achieve, was advocacy. But coming here, I realized that Guardian Nurses is they're the Navy SEALs of advocacy. There's not a question about that. What I did was essentially support members from a telephonic perspective, from really like case management. I had started there, more on the phones, and then had progressed. And then like the past 5 years, I was managing a team of,
Okay.
case managers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, God knows everybody needs help in the healthcare system, and so the more the merrier, I say. Regardless of
Yeah.
whether it's telephonic but people need help, and it's nice to know that there are employers who are engaging firms like ours to help their employees and well, I say patients, but their employees. So,
Agreed.
Joe, you're one of the you mentioned that you do insurance appeals at Guardian Nurses. That is certainly one of the, I guess, the most frequent referrals that we get on our advocacy team. But we also do clinical. So in
Right.
your long 6 months, has there been an insurance case that really kind of resonated with you, or you remember for some reason?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, just I had won my first appeal recently, which was very exciting. Like I said, where I was previously, we did kind of support more with process, but here's just the way that we support is above and beyond. I mean, we kind of take the reins, and we write the appeal, we get the medical records, we're communicating with the provider, we're also communicating with the health plan. So I was exceptionally proud of that one, not, only being my first one, and then also too was, kind of seeing that, kind of to fruition. Yeah, it was, I was pleased. I don't know. Did you want me to share kind of the details of it?
Yeah. So you never forget your first appeal win. So clearly
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
made an impact. What was the case, if you could share that?
Sure, sure. So it was a young gal who was seen in the doctor's office for some abdominal pain, and her primary care physician had ordered. It was like a celiac disease testing panel, and unfortunately, when this was submitted, it did deny, and it was expensive for the family. I think the billed amount or the allowed amount around that was kind of in the $200 to $300 range. So, of
Okay.
course, the family felt reason to kind of move forward with the appeal. One of our clients had sent that over, so we had reviewed the appeal, given that she had abdominal pain, felt like a winnable case, and I think something that was definitely worth pursuing, so we had gotten the medical records from the primary care doc, we had kind of crafted an appeal showing, that she did in fact have abdominal pain, and we kind of butted that up against the medical policy, and sure enough, once submitted, they came back and they actually, they had overturned the denial, which was a great feeling. So,
Joe,
great.
why do you, I mean, I've certainly heard this so many times. I think it seems like such a simple approval that should have
Right.
been approved. Why
Right.
do you think that particular case? Why do you think it wasn't approved on the first try?
Yeah, it's I think many times it could be a coding issue. It's interestingly enough, in communication with the client who we work very closely with, who sends us the referrals, that they had mentioned that they were seeing a number of different denials regarding these types of claims. So it's
Okay.
and it is, as very challenging to get information from the health plan, but that one was one where it was in a sense a layup, where as long as you could show the medical policy and prove that she was having abdominal pain, it was kind of we just needed to submit. I think in many cases, though, honestly, the families just don't know how to pursue it and don't move forward with it and end up actually paying the bill, which is a sad state, to be honest.
Yeah, and I remember, gosh, way back when there was a commercial for, I think it was Capital One, and it was a joke where he just the actor was playing the customer service person, and he was talking about just say no, no 3 times. Like they just kept saying no every time
Yes.
the patient would call, and I thought, God, this could be a commercial for a health insurer. Like they just
Yes.
right, they say no, and I think sometimes they just expect patients or families will go away, right? Like they will
Right.
accept the fact that it's too much trouble. They don't know how to appeal, and they'll just
Right.
go away, which to your point, then they end up having to pay the bill. And in this case, it may not have been thousands of dollars, but sometimes in our cases, there are thousands of dollars involved.
Right. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Betty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frustrating process. And, just to give you an example of kind of the patience needed when dealing with that is that was actually something even as simple as that had been drawn out, 4 to 5 months to get a determination. So you can see why people give up when, just frustrating for them.
Right. And it was a lab draw, right? It was a blood sample.
It was just a blood sample. Right.
Wow.
And it's, yeah. So, but I was, like I said, the member had gotten the refund from LabCorp, it was a couple $100, and then, and they were just very pleased with the support that we've given them. So that was great.
Okay. Well, congratulations. The first of many,
thank you,
I'm
Betty.
Sure.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yes. You got it. I want to get that, keep that batting average up. Yeah.
That's right. Keep the batting average. Right. And then clinically, I know, again, our advocacy team, while our mobile care team often goes into hospitals initially to meet patients, we often get referrals because somebody calls us and says maybe there's something going on, or somebody's starting a healthcare journey, or perhaps more seriously, they already have a diagnosis. So have there been any cases that have resonated with you in these last 6 months for you?
Yeah, so there has, Betty, and it's funny, again, I've been in nursing a long time, and I there's, but the impact that I feel like the team and I've been able to have been more than I've had. And I know that sounds crazy, just the level of support that we give. One that stands out to me the most was most recently was a gentleman that we had gotten a referral for. He actually had a tumor in his groin, and that had actually become infected after radiation treatment. And really, the referral to us was, he was having a real, difficult time managing this. He was having a hard time with the wound, and he needed guardian nurses for support. And that's kind of where we had come in. There were a lot of moving parts to it. Do you want me to kind of jump in, or was there any specific
I mean, I think a tumor in the groin, and it became infected from radiation. So
right.
Who was managing the wound? Was it the radiation oncologist?
Yes. So the surgeon was actually managing the wound at that point. There was, he was also seeing a medical oncologist, but really who was kind of managing the wound was the surgeon. Home care was also involved, as there was at that point, a significant need for daily supplies and dressing changes. He did have a good support system in and around, but not kind of during the day, right? I mean, he was dealing with a lot of this on his own during the day, and and I think now with pain meds on board, and it just had really kind of gotten complicated, and it's just a very overwhelming situation for the
as
gentleman.
most, I mean, as most oncology patients deal with, right? Because there's many doctors, there's many providers, there's a lot of vendors. What was his so it was a tumor in his groin? Was there a pathology, or where was the original cancer?
Yes, well, they had never actually found the original source, and that's what made it so challenging to treat. Which was, I think that was the difficult piece there. He had gone through, at that point, by the time we had come in, multiple rounds of chemo, and at that point there was we were supporting with second opinions, third opinions, the potential removal of the tumor. So there was a lot of moving parts. But one of the big things that in trying to understand his story was that the tumor in the location where it was had a lot of lymph drainage. So he was changing this up to so it was wet constantly, and it was very odorous, which was embarrassing to him, and it was really preventing him from socializing and being around his the friends that were trying to kind of support him, and it's just become it was just a very kind of sad situation for him. One of the things I think where guardian nurses has such an impact is the ability to be there. And it's no secret to you, Betty, but I mean, to me, that was never, that wasn't kind of the way I practiced care. It was telephonically, but being there, meeting him in person, understanding his fears, and seeing the wound, taking pictures of it, coordinating with, Katie, our wound care nurse who we got connected with. She actually had come up with, and I had never heard this in my career, crushed flagell. And what we did was, I had gone to a couple appointments with him to the surgeon's office, and he's like, absolutely, it's, I wish everybody had an advocate kind of thing, because he realized the plight that this gentleman had been on. So, yeah. So, and I mean, and I will say, yeah. Go ahead.
What was the crushed? So you said crushed flagell. What was that for?
Yes.
So that's an antibiotic. It's a pretty strong antibiotic.
Right.
And what was antifungal? So what was the reason that Katie had recommended that?
So supposedly, and the surgeon had never even heard of this, but supposedly it helps kind of keep bacterial growth down in a sense, and also, where bacterial growth is, that kind of creates the odor, and it really helped eliminate that, to the point where, when I was meeting with him, we, and even the physicians, like when we were in the appointment state, they were like, there's not even a noticeable odor anymore. It was amazing. And I think,
wow, that's great.
What was really cool was, when I would reach out to him, he's like, I'm with my granddaughter. I'm out to lunch here or there, and those, and that was great to hear, like he was kind of, spending time with the people who meant the most. And that's what it was all about. So.
Yeah. So it gave him a little bit more confidence, or less embarrassment, right? That he could go out and, it didn't change the dressing but it did change the odor.
Exactly. And the ability for him to feel empowered to manage the dressing and kind of, socialize again and kind of be out there. So I think, that was worth its weight in gold. Just, the support, the resources, and and I think the support that Guardian Nurses provides, I don't think that would have been possible without that.
So what ended up happening? Did he have his tumor removed, or no, they weren't able to?
So it was, what we, unfortunately, as we move forward, there were, multiple second opinions and third opinions, and, and unfortunately he did transition to hospice, and I think it was, for the best at that point. And he did end up passing away, but, I think the support that Guardian Nurses was able to give him, I think, the family valued it. It was just a really, as tough as that experience was, the family felt supported. He was finally had made a decision that was best for him.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I am a big fan of hospice. I think, as a lot of us are on the team, and realize that patients don't often choose hospice until the several weeks before they pass away, and you don't get the benefit of all the value of the social worker and the aide and the nurse stopping in and other things that hospice does provide. It's disappointing. And I think, hospice is always, I think we've introduced palliative care as a way to transition to hospice, right? So that people can wrap their head around the fact that their treatment is no longer curative, and that at a certain point, treatment would be more, would hurt you more than it would help you. And I think that's the line. So was that one of your earlier cases in the 6 months?
That was, that actually spanned a few months, Betty. So it was, it was definitely one that, we, invested a lot of time into. But I would say, kind of in looking at the scope of the cases that I've had, that, was definitely the most impactful. And I know that we had provided a lot of support, but, I think just how much that I learned from him, about life and how short life is, and just how important it is to be in the moment. And, the relationships that you have, with your son and daughter and, grandchild, it's, I think it's just one that will stick with me forever.
Yeah. I mean, we've all had those cases in nursing where, just somebody just kind of connects, or you connect with them for some reason. And yeah. So good for you, Joe, for supporting him. I know that that was a valuable time for him and for you. Sounds like.
No, It really did. It really did. It helped me grow, and yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, Betty.
Yeah. All right. So you're doing clinical, you're doing insurance, you're like our utility player. Back to the baseball analogy.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Now we could just get to the World Series again. It'd be one thing. Jeez. So Joe, what do you think when you look around at Guardian Nurses? You've been 6 months now. Take a look around at our team. What impresses you the most?
Yeah, I think, well, and a couple of the things that really had stood out to me, obviously as I was, transitioning from my previous role was just, like even, on first thing, I mean, is the uniform clearly, Betty. I mean, I'm wearing my shirt, so that's first, that's first and foremost. There's good swag, and my kids approve, so that's a good thing. But no, in all seriousness, just I think it's a very small yet powerful organization. I think the team is very close knit. Culture and being a team player is super, super important to me. And honestly, I know, and at this point, you're sick of hearing me say thank you, but I will say you, Betty, are a huge part of what makes Guardian Nurses special. Just like the work that you've done and what you continue to do is super inspiring. And that, and I kind of knew it when I first started, but now 6 months in, I mean, when we say patients come first, they like really, really come first. And I think that just continually stands out to me. And I mean, it's just really a patient advocate. And I think when I look back at my career, like all the moments that I felt like I was getting the most out of what I do was patient advocacy and, just being an ally. So I hope that, I mean, there's so many more I could go on and on, but those are the highlights for me.
Well, thank you, Joe. And look, I think we all, the nurses on our team, that's what bonds us together, is that we are really about patients, right? Patient getting the best care, getting the best treatment, not, getting the best insurance coverage. If they deserve, if they have that plan, then they should get it, right? They should get it covered. Right. So I think that really always speaks to us, or it speaks to me. And I was in a meeting yesterday, and we were all, I think there was like 6 of us, 6 nurses, and we were talking about, it'd be better for this, and it'd be better for the client, it'd be better. And I said, but it'll be better for the patients too. And they're like, oh, Betty, okay, fine. It's better for the patients. Yeah. So, I do wish that we did think, I remember years back when I was working in a hospital in Philly, and we had a whole training, and it was going to be a big rollout of patient-focused care. And I was like, patient-focused care? What I don't know what you've been doing for the last 10 years, but I've been patient-focused. But apparently the corporate consultants decided that that's something that we needed to do. So I don't think that's something we ever need to remind people of at Guardian Nurses.
No.
So Joe, I want to thank you for taking the time just talking to me and getting to know a little bit about your background. And I want to thank you for joining our team. I think you've been a great addition to us. So thank you.
Oh, Betty, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. And thanks for letting me join on the podcast. It's been a real good time.
Yeah. We'll have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay. See you, Betty.
Okay. Bye-bye. If you have any questions that you would like us to address in a future episode, please email us at podcast@guardiannurses.com. That email again is podcast@guardiannurses.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us this week. You can find the Lighting Your Way podcast on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and Stitcher. If you liked what you heard, tell a friend and leave us a review. You can learn all about Guardian Nurses Healthcare Advocates on our website, guardiannurses.com. So until next time, find some joy in your life, pet all the good doggies and kitties, and remember to tell your people that you love them. Take care.